This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. Shalom Aleichem. Bruchim Aboim. So, Rabbi Chanan Wasserman, Hashem Yimkom Dama, once related that he came to visit the Chafetz Chaim, and he was telling the Chafetz Chaim about a particular yeshiva, which was a very ambitious yeshiva where the Bachrim were really motivated for Gadlus. And the Chafetz Chaim asked, do they learn Musar in that yeshiva? And Rabbi Chanan said, no. Chafetz Chaim said, without Musar, all the learning is not even worth a piece of dust. And the Chafetz Chaim said this, he fisted his hand, and he made a motion as if he's crushing between his fingers to show that learning without Musar has not little value, has no value. By the way, the Chafetz Chaim was an Orthodox rabbi, if you didn't know that. So was Rabbi Chanan. They also knew how to learn. And the Chafetz Chaim, who was very careful how he spoke, Chafetz Chaim was very careful how he spoke, is an understatement. Chafetz Chaim says, Limud Torah without Limud Musar is not worth the price of the paper it's printed on. Okay, so that's just a little ha'ara. We continue in the Sefer Devorah. We're in Parak Aleph. We're up to the 10th Middah. That's right, yesterday was the 9th. Titein Emes liYaakov. He grants truth to Jacob. This is a very difficult Middah, because this is one of the Middas Harachamim, and Emes seems to be truth. Truth and Rachamim seem to be antithetical. Says the Talmud Devorah, Middah zuhi sheyesh liYisrael maila. This Middah is that the Jewish people have a quality. Oisam habenoniim, even the average Jew. She'enam yoidim l'snag lifnim misher sadin. They don't know how to go beyond the measure. In other words, they do the middle of the road. They do what they have to do, but they don't go beyond. The Heim Nikram Yaakov. They're called Yaakov as opposed to Yisrael. Mivnei she'enam misnahagim. Because they do not accustom themselves, ela im hanhaga amitis. They go by the true path. They don't go lefnim mishra sadin, but they fulfill sort of the letter of the law. And Hashem has a corresponding midah with which He conducts Himself with these beinonim. Gama kadosh baruch hu yesh lo midas emes. So too God has the midah of truth, shehu outside mitzios hamishpat hayashar, which is on the side of the reality of justice and uprightness. Ve'eluheim hamisnagim ba'olam b'yoshar, those who conduct themselves in the world with justness. HaKadosh Baruch Hu misnahig imahem be'emes. God acts toward them with the quality of truth. Merachim aleim, He has mercy on them outside hayoshar v'hamishpat, through the dictates of justice and uprightness and justice. So what's he referring to? What's he talking about? What exactly is the midah of Emes? This l'chayra refers to those who sort of don't go beyond the letter of the law, but they do fulfill the letter of the law, and they have the midah of Emes, and so too God also has the midah of Emes. But where does that come into Rachamim? How is Emes one of the midos harachamim? We know that the Rabbeinu Yoina tells us in the Shar Aleph, Ois Aleph, that Hashem commands us, teaches us, and warns us to do tshuva, l'roiv tuvay v'yashrai, because of His abundant goodness and also His yashrus. There's an element of yashrus that Hashem has to allow our tshuva to be accepted, like the pasuk says, Toiv v'yashar Hashem alkein yorech hatoim ba'darach. So what is this yashrus exactly? So Rav Goldberg gives an analogy. A king could issue a law, and if you don't take the rationale of the law and the reasoning of the law into account, then the shoitrim don't really have any room to maneuver and to be lenient, because if the law is like a chayk without a tam, there's no wiggle room. But once we understand the reasoning of the law, perhaps there are situations where the reasoning doesn't apply or doesn't apply as profoundly. Look, the shoiftim are only the messengers of the king. So if we go according to the letter of the law, which is pure Emes, there's no room for rachamim. But if you allow the rationale of the law to play a role, then there's more of a room for leniency, and that's where yoishar mixes with Emes. So yoishar and Emes is called Emes la'amitai. Emes is, okay, it says that you can't do X, Y, and Z, but if you understand why, perhaps there are mitigating circumstances. So that's the concept of Emes la'amitai, or the mixture of yoishar with Emes. Now, the lashon of the Torah Devorah is that there are in Klal Yisrael a maila of beinonim, which implies that among the Umayis Ha'olam you don't have this quality of beinonim. In other words, the average Joe or the average Ruvain among the Umayis Ha'olam is not given this special Middah. Hashem does not deal with them with this yashrus. It's only because even among what is called a regular Pashat Yid, they are eligible for this additional, even though they don't go beyond the law and they sort of only keep the letter of the law and the Emes, but there's an element of yashrus that Hashem mixes into this. So how does a person emulate this? So the Torah Devorah just concludes, Gam keina adam tzarich lehisnaigim chaveroi outside hayoisher v'ha'emes. Likewise, a person has to conduct themselves with their friend in a manner of not just the letter of the law, but with yashrus as well. In other words, sometimes you could deal with your friend, okay, this is how it is, these are my parameters, these are my guidelines, but if you allow an additional of yashrus to be involved, so then there's more wiggle room and there's more room for leniency. Never perversing your friend's judgment. L'rachim alav ve'emes. In other words, sometimes a person truly deserves mercy. That's what they deserve. It's almost a yashrus that you should be generous to them. K'moshe Hashem yisbarach. Just like the Ribbon Shalom, merachim ala briyos habeinoinios. Just like Hashem is merachim on His creatures, b'midas emes, with this midah of emes l'sakin oisam, to correct them. Rav Goldberg has an interesting idea that when we refer to Klal Yisrael's Yaakov, this is in Kuf Ois Kuf Chavav, this refers to more the lower element, even the average Jew. Sometimes even Nashim are referred to as Yaakov, base Yaakov. And we find, says Rav Goldberg, that in the concept of Ma'aseh Siman Labanim, the customs and the practices of Yaakov were those that are emulated by all of Klal Yisrael. For instance, we don't really find Avraham Avinu or Yitzchak working. We don't find that they were gainfully employed. They were al ha-Torah v'al avoda. But Yaakov Avinu spent many, many years working for Lavan. He didn't follow the protocol of the Rashbi, but Yaakov did, because the procedure of Yaakov is that procedure which is fit for Kol Hamoin Yisrael. And this is also the midah of Emes Yaakov, that there is a certain Rachamim Hashem displays even for the average Jew, because even the average Jew deserves. In other words, maybe they don't earn an extra measure of Rachamim, but they deserve a good eye as well. And this is a midah we should have, that sometimes there are people that at the very least they deserve and they've earned a generous spirit from us. And this is the 10th Middah of Titein Emes Yaakov. Okay, we're going to hold it over here. Be'ezus Hashem, next time we do Middah 11. And in the meantime, wishing everyone a wonderful Shabbos. You could join us for Shiur tomorrow morning at 10:35 with Gemara Brachos, followed by Biur HaTfilah. Wishing everyone a great day. Shkayach.
Good night, Rabbi.
Good night. Good night. Kol Tov.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.